Our next speaker here is my friend Kirk Duncan. Kirk, you're zooming in from somewhere, Utah area, right?
Eagle Mountain. Yeah, out here in Eagle Mountain.
Awesome, awesome. Well, we really appreciate you. There we are. Now you're front and center. We appreciate you being on this. It might seem like you're kind of the outlier here. I thought maybe we should buy you a hat or something so you could feel like you could fit in, but
Right, right.
but no, Kirk is a wonderful person who has been a mentor to me and my family for over a decade, and it's just an honor to be able to have him here. So, Kirk, let's jump right in.
Super cool. Let me get my screen all set up here. Give me just a second. Super good to be with you. Wow, Elizabeth, that was amazing. Great content.
Yeah,
I,
and I see on social media that you've got a little backyard garden going on.
yeah, I got that started and I just learned a lot about what I got to change. So that was
Okay.
awesome. Yeah, that was
Yeah.
great.
Yeah,
That was
we'll
great.
we'll have to go send you the whole recording, go back and watch that because it's all
Yeah,
very applicable.
beautiful. Well, I great to be here. Thank you, Jared, for giving me the opportunity to be here and be able to share something I find extremely valuable when it comes to any type of relationship and any type of business. I'm going to just go through a little bit of a story here, and then I'll jump right into what I have here for everybody today, which I know is going to be a game changer and for sure a life-changing experience. I grew up in Lander, Wyoming. I don't know if anybody knows where Lander, Wyoming is. It's not a big town, but it's not a small town. Lander, Wyoming is kind of in the middle. It's right against the Wind River Mountains, right here, about right here in the middle. And fantastic. I just love Wyoming. I was constantly in the outdoors, constantly horsepacking, camping, fishing. I mean, fished every lake, every river I could find in Wyoming. And this picture right here is of Red Canyon and just fantastic views, beautiful mountains. Fun fact about Wyoming, up above Lander, above Lander, there's this canyon called Sinks Canyon. And the funny thing about this is if you decide to go up there and see what it's all about, you head up the road, and as soon as you come into the mouth of the canyon, you cross a river called the Poposia. It's not called Popo Aggie. We always know when somebody's out of town because they call it the Popo Aggie. It's called the Poposia. Well, this river goes down the canyon, but as it goes down the canyon, it goes into this place called the Sinks. And what happens is the river turns and it goes straight into the mountain and disappears into the mountain. So that's why they call it Sinks Canyon, is because this main river that comes down the canyon turns, goes into this cave, and it's gone. For example, like here's the water going into the cave, and then after the cave, the riverbed is dry, unless it's like on high runoff time of the year in the springtime. But yeah, the water turns and goes into the cave, and then it goes down through some different caverns, goes down the canyon, and then it comes up, which they call the rise of the Poposia. And what's really interesting about this is if you ever get to Lander and you go up Sinks Canyon, you're going to have to go to where the river comes back up out of the ground. And so you walk out on this platform, and the platform hangs out over the top of the river. And when you get out to the edge of the platform, you look down,
Oh,
and the water then is coming up or boiling up underneath, coming up out of the ground. But the cool part about this whole thing is the fish that try to come up the river, they have nowhere to go. Like there is no more river. They come up the river and they just run into a mountain because they can't go down into the ground because it boils up through the sand. And these
dang.
fish that are right here at this point in the river, these fish are anywhere between 10, 20, 30 pounds trout. And they're just huge. And so what you do is you stand on the platform, you chuck bread off the edge, and you feed the fish. And it's just like this massive feeding frenzy. And any friend that I've ever taken up there, they're just thinking, like, hey, let's take our fishing poles and go up there. But there is a sign that says that there's no fishing up in this area. So that's a fun fact about Lander, is this Sinks Canyon. And later in my presentation, you're going to find out another reason why I bring this up about rivers that disappear and that go into the mountain and then come up later. Well, Wyoming is also the place where I did my proposal of getting married. I just had to do it Wyoming style. So this is our wedding announcement, our photo for our wedding announcement. I had my wife climb up on my horse, and then my proposal happened on a deer tag after deer hunting. That was the crazy part is I thought of all the romantic things I could do for my proposal. I thought I would write on the back of the deer tag, "Will you marry me?" And now some people who don't like hunting, that probably like, "Oh, you can't do that." But I thought it was pretty romantic. So when I first got married, I did not have a job. I did not have a job and we had nowhere to live. And so we borrowed my wife's dad's camper, my father-in-law's camper. So this is where we started out at, was living in a single axle camper trailer to get started in our relationship. And I had always had the hope, and I always deep inside wish that I could be a motivational speaker, but I did not have the education. I did not have the experience. And obviously, when I first started out, I had no money and I had no job. But anytime I saw a motivational speaker, I thought, oh, it'd be so cool someday to be able to like help people, and help them solve problems and change their life. But obviously, I had a long ways to go first myself to get me in a better place. Well, over the last 33 years, I have learned a lot, and I've had a lot of challenges, a lot of difficulties, and there's a lot of things that I've learned about how the mind works and about how our emotions work. Mind and emotions. That the mind and the emotions are like the root of everything. Our mind and emotions are mixed into everything we do, every business we do, every relationship we have, every choice we make. And if our mind and emotions are a little messy, well, then our decisions are not going to be the best. Then our actions are not going to be the best. And then our results are not going to be the best. So over the years of me learning and having different jobs, I finally started working on myself with personal development. And about 19 years ago, I started into personal development when my kids were little. And I started working on myself and my mind and my emotions, and my life dramatically changed. And quickly, family members and friends were like, "What are you doing? Like, what is it that you're doing that's helping you make such good changes in your life?" And so I started teaching people. Well, as my kids grew up, and now as I've got grandkids, and my grandkids are crazy. They're just crazy fun. Now that I've had grandkids and kids, I now get to teach them how to manage their mind, how to manage their emotions. So my time spent on my own personal development not only has helped myself, it's also helping my family, it's helping my grandkids, and I'm able to help people literally all over the world. And so in the last 19 years, I've been teaching live seminars where my wife and I have been able to work together, teaching classes, inspiring people, motivating people, and really teaching them how their mind works and how their emotions work. Because the better that those function, the better decisions that you're going to make. Now, along the way, we've also had the chance to be on TV a whole bunch of times, which I never in a million years thought it would be possible, but we've been on TV like over 85 times. So here I started out living in the single axle camper trailer. And then now here I am like teaching the world, teaching classes, teaching webinars, speaking engagements, all these things that I'm doing. And it just like really still is quite a shocker to me. So, but I love it. I absolutely love it because I know that what I teach works. There's no question. And what I like to do is I like to help people who are struggling in how to get through that struggle, whatever that struggle is. If it's a struggle with a relationship, if it's struggle with money, if it's struggle with motivation, if it's struggle with their business, with their income, with their relationship with money, like whatever their challenge is, time, people, their home, their structure, I love diving deep into that and helping people sort this out. It's just a thing I love to do. And I've been able to work with people literally all over the world. So I'm going to dive into this and I'm going to talk to you as though I'm at your house and it's just you and me. So right now it's just going to be between you and me for the rest of the time that I have to speak here, because I want to teach you something that you need to pay attention to. It's something that if you overlook this, you're causing extra problems in your life if you overlook what I'm about ready to show you. Because you put in a lot of time and effort every single day. You really try hard. You try to figure out what to do. You try to how to fix things. You try to figure out what things to adjust. But deep down inside of you, there's something that's controlling you. And I want to talk about what that is so that you understand it better and so that you can perform better, because now you understand how this works. So I'm going to just dive right in and talk about this. So in your head and in your heart, there's a whole bunch of information. And all this information comes from all of your life that you've lived so far, all of your experiences, and it all comes together and it affects how you interact with people, how you interact with love, how you interact with success, how you interact with money, how you interact with time. But sometimes along the way, what happens is, as we're going through life, we feel like we like hit a wall. Like no matter what we do, we're trying all these things, and then it just feels like something's stopping. Like it just stops. And it's like, it feels like there's all this energy you're putting out, but it's like, why are we not moving forward? Or you feel like you're in the pit and you feel like you're down in this deep pit and it's like, wait a minute, I can't get out of this. Or you feel like you're pushing uphill something. It's like it's just so heavy and it's so hard. And every time you take a break, it feels like it's about ready to roll over and crush you. Or it might feel like there's all these things from the past that you're like dragging along with you, like a lot of attachments. And then one more is maybe you feel like you're just carrying the weight of the world and it's just wearing you out. Now, here's something we want to look at. This is really important because what happens to us as people is we think to ourselves that we're living right now in the present, right? Like we have our to-do list. We're trying to like do the things we want to do, and we got to talk to people, do this. You know, we got certain things we do at certain times of the year, and we're trying to get our work done. But what's affecting us, what's behind us, is our past. Now, some people I coach, they don't want to talk about their past. They're like, no, don't want to go there. And it's like, okay, but just so you know, as you move forward, your past back here is going to affect you. It just does. Because your past is not a long ways away. All of your history, all of your past is all stored inside your head. And your head is like on your shoulders. It's not that far away. It's like literally your past is inside you. Now, I'm not talking like we have to like figure out everything in your past, but I'm going to show you something that if I were you, I'm going to teach you some steps today that are very simple that take about 15 minutes each day. And if you're willing to do some small work on yourself to be able to put yourself more in order on the inside, it will improve your abilities that you have today. If you can put a little bit of your past into better order, you will find that you perform a lot better in the today. Like you'll be able to think more clearly, make better decisions, connect to people and understand people a lot better if you could do a little bit of mending and healing from the past. Now, this sounds like wait a second, I thought we're supposed to be talking about, you know, farms and people and your produce and your products and what you're doing in the future. But I'm here to talk about this because the condition of how you are on the inside is going to dramatically impact the decisions you're going to make today. And what I care about is your ability to make the right decision. That's what's on my mind all the time is, are you in a place to make the best decision possible? And right now it's, you do what you can, right? But there is some work that we could do to be able to improve this. And what I want to help you is I want to help you get in the zone. So like right now, this is me, but I'm going to put you. When you're in the zone, you're going to get inspired. You're going to find new ways to innovate what you're doing, which will save you time, save you money, and put you in a more productive place. When you're in the zone, everything's great. You understand people, you understand time, you can see the money, you know where the money's at, you know how to manage it, be a better steward. But when something knocks you out of the zone, you are going to struggle because you're out of the zone. And what I want to help you do today is I want to help you understand how to get into the zone so that you can perform your best. Or maybe it's your spouse who's out of the zone. Maybe you're in here, but maybe your spouse is struggling, or maybe a business partner. But the other person, maybe they're out of their genius zone and they're the ones that are struggling, and that's difficult. How do you help somebody who's not in the zone? And so I'm going to put another box right here. We'll just call them you, and we'll call them number two. You number two. So this is the other person. This could be your spouse. This could be a business partner. It could be an employee. It could be somebody that you're doing work with, but they dramatically affect the outcome for what you do. So first off, I want to talk about this. You know what it's like when you're in the zone. It's like you're on top of it. I mean, you pay attention, you notice the details, and you get this inspiration on like a daily basis of like what's most important to do next. And this is like the best place to be because you're not wondering, you're taking action. You feel good about what you're taking action on. And if you got a challenge or problem, you can solve it quickly, but you're in the zone. But something's going to come along because it happens to every single one of us. Something's going to come along and knock you off or out of the zone. Something's going to happen. And usually what it has to do with somebody else. Something's going to go wrong between you and another person. Now, if you got kids, you know how that goes. If you're married, you know how that goes. If you have a partner, you know how that goes. Like some days it just doesn't work. And so what happens is you get knocked out of the zone, but you still try to keep working. You got to still make decisions. You still got to handle what's on the task list for the day. But what I'm noticing through my coaching, which I do coaching every single week. I've got personal clients. I have group classes I teach. I mean, I've been coaching and training now for 19 years. And what I find is that they'll get knocked out of the zone, but they'll start to come back into the zone, but they have like 1 foot in, 1 foot out. So when I'm working with somebody one-on-one, this is the first place that I look is, are they in their zone? Are they in there getting inspiration? Are they getting ideas for innovation? How are they with time? How are they with money? How are they with people? Are they in a good place? And if they're not, then we need to do some work here. Now, here's what happens to you as a person. So there's different functions that you have inside of you. And these different functions affect you every single day. How you feel, how you talk, how you see things, and how you think. Now, when difficulties happen, they usually trigger us, and we usually have feelings about what just happened. And so our feelings can get hurt, we can get offended, we can get bugged, irritated, overwhelmed. Overwhelmed is a big one right now. Or we feel like lost or confused about what we're doing. So our feelings can get kind of buried. But what happens is if we don't clear out those feelings or do something about those feelings, then the next difficulties start to stack up. And now when we try to talk to people, we actually don't make sense. You actually start to sound cryptic. I know it kind of sounds weird to say cryptic, but like you think you're talking clearly to your family, your spouse, your team. You think you're talking, in details, but the way that people are hearing you, it's like you are leaving out details. Because when your heart is heavy with difficulties and these start to stack up, they affect the way that you talk. And maybe you're married to somebody like this where it's like, what are you talking about? It's like, it doesn't even make sense. All these pieces are missing, or it's just, but they think they're being straight with you. They think they're talking well, but it's either you or the other person. Communication's not going well. It's like it's very broken up and you're not on the same page. Okay, so what happens is if this person doesn't do anything about this, and maybe this is you, it starts to stack up even more. And then you start to lose vision of where you're going and what to do next. And so now this person who, and maybe this is you, your feelings are full, your talking is a little bit more cryptic now and it's not quite making sense, which is causing communication problems. You're starting to lose vision about where you're going. And all along, you don't know what's wrong. You're not sure exactly what's affecting you or affecting the person you're working with. But when you start to lose vision, you start to lose hope. Like everything becomes like super hard, super difficult. And it's like, how are we going to solve this? How are we going to make this better? And it's like the ideas just aren't there. And then if this continues, you can see where this is going. It stacks up so much that it starts to block the thinking. And then this is where a person starts to think about quitting what they built, everything that they've been working hard on. But this is a very sneaky thing that happens inside of us, and we don't even know that this is stacking up inside. But there are signals that tell us that this is stacking up. And the first signal that we want to watch for is, can this person talk in a way that makes sense? So if somebody's questioning you and saying, what? I don't understand what you're saying. And if people keep asking you, to clarify what it is that you're talking about, you could be stacked up on the inside where it's affecting your language. Or if somebody's like, oh, I just don't see how this is going to work, and they're very pessimistic or negative, you now know that the internal difficulties have stacked up so high that they've lost vision. Or if you find yourself where you can't even think. Like this right here, this whole image right here that you're looking at, this is what's called overwhelmed. It's when you can't think, you can't see what to do, you can't quite explain, and your feelings are so buried, it's like, I just feel like I'm numb. This is how overwhelm happens. It's a stacking up on the inside. So what I do as a coach is I teach steps of how to decrease this. Because if you could learn how to pull this off of your thinker so you could think, and if you could think a little bit more clearly, you're going to make better decisions. You're going to cut down on the unnecessary problems you keep creating because your thinking has been blocked. And if you could do the steps to be able to clear off your vision of where you're going, I'm not saying just your eyes, I'm talking about the vision of the future, 3 months from now, 6 months from now, a year from now, then you could be more inspired and more intuitive about what it is to do next. But we can't have that until you know how to clear this off, or to be able to remove this negativity off of your mind and off of your internal eyes. And then even to do a little bit more work so that it can get off of this part of your body where you're talking, your throat, your lips, your tongue, so that you make more sense. Because it's super frustrating when you give instructions and then you go see if they're doing your instructions, and it's like, wait a minute, what are you doing? And they're doing it completely wrong compared to what you thought you explained. You could be the one who's not really being clear to the people, and so it's messing up the work. And so what I like to do is I like to help people clear off their thinker, clear off their vision, clear off their ability to communicate so that the problems are reduced. That's a huge part right now in the world right now, is how to reduce unnecessary problems. There's already normal challenges. We don't need to have more unnecessary problems to deal with that we're creating ourselves. And then the last part is to continue doing the work so that you can pull this off of your heart, so that you can be connected to self, and so that you can feel good about what you're doing. To me, this is what I do as a coach is I help people step by step to be able to reduce this so that they can be at a higher level of function. And what that does is it puts you back into the zone. Because right now, moving forward, what I see that's happening is people who that can be inspired are going to know the necessary adjustments they need to make to be able to adapt, because the world is changing. There are people changing the way things work out there in the world. And if we're not inspired, we're not going to know what to do. And so I am all about teaching people how to clear out their mind, clear off these different functions of who they are so that they can receive inspiration. Inspiration comes to people who are seeking for ideas. And I really believe that, you being in business, that means you are right on the edge of being able to receive inspiration on how to innovate, what it is that you need to do to be able to support your business, to be able to function at a higher level, innovation. But if we could clear off your mind, clear off your vision, clear off your language, clear off your heart, you definitely, even if a little bit of that could happen, you're going to find yourself being more in tune about what it is to do next. And I'm going to show you those steps here in just a moment. And then I'm going to have some time to be able to answer any questions once I give you these steps, because I want to help anybody here, because this is a really big deal. I wish I had more time to help you, of course, because I usually am doing like 3-day seminars every single month. Okay, really quick, I just want to tell you a quick story that supports what I just shared with you. This is my 3 boys, and my son on the right, he chose to be a race car driver, which is super fun. I never saw that coming. I had no idea he would ever become a race car driver. So what he does is he drives drift cars. So these cars are the kind that they go around these big corners and they slide around the corner and they burn tires and there's smoke everywhere, and very, very technical driving. And it's crazy and it's fun. It's almost like an amusement park ride when I get a chance to ride with him. But he's built his car. He knows his car inside and out, and he has, added a lot of things to make it faster, turbos and better suspension, better framework. I mean, he like knows his car really, really well. Well, one particular day he was heading out on the track, and he'd already gone around the track like 20 or 30 times, like a lot of times. And he was heading out on the track, and the whole car turned off. The whole entire thing just shut off. And his car comes to a stop, and it's just dead. And he's gone around the track so many times. We pull it in, we pop the hood, and we're trying to figure out what killed the car. Like, it just died. Nothing works. In one quick second, nothing in the car worked. So we started looking at things. We started looking at fuses. We started looking at wiring. We checked the battery. We checked everything. It's like, what in the world happened? And we could not find anything. And we started bringing other drivers over and then other mechanics. And we literally had been looking through this car for about 4 hours trying to figure out what killed the car, because it still won't start, like nothing at this point. It was like, what happened? Well, as we were poking around after about 4 hours of going through all these fuses and all these wires, we looked up into one corner of the car, way, way up here in the corner, because we finally had to start following every single wire in the whole entire car. And back up here in this far corner, there was this little red wire, this little tiny red wire. And as we got looking at this little tiny wire, oh, whoops, I lost my arrow. Hold on. As we're looking at this, and we're we're looking in there. We find this little tiny red wire. A red wire means power. And you see that little tiny spot right there? Let me get closer. So this little tiny wire had rubbed against this metal. It wore off the plastic coating, and the wire inside touched the metal frame of the car and grounded the car and killed the car. That little tiny spot killed the car. It shorted it. And we're like, you got to be kidding. This one thing took away the power of the car. I mean, this massive, like, go fast, super fun, big horsepower car, it literally shut it down because the edge rubbed on it and touched the wire and just boom, shut it down. Now, what that did is it also blew the fuse, the inline fuse. For those of you who are mechanics, you know what I'm talking about. It blew the inline fuse, which is a big deal. That means it was a really big short that happened in the car. So we fixed the inline fuse. we fixed this little tiny thing that caused everything to lose power. We fixed it. And then we turned the key on and the car started. One small part drained the power, like turned the power off. So when I point at you, and if you want to know where your power gets turned off, it's when this is a symbol of some negative experience or difficult situation with a person or with yourself gets stuck inside you. When one of these gets stuck inside you, it begins to turn your power off. Doesn't matter what business you're doing, doesn't matter who the people are around you. If inside you, your red wire shorts out, you lose power. And when you lose power, you don't function well. You just don't function as good as you could, and it could actually turn you off and shut you down. So if you've ever felt that before or ever experienced that before where it's like, whoa, that I don't want to do anything. It's because you got something on the inside that is shorting you out. Okay, so these little circles here with these negative signs or this subtraction sign inside that little blotch there, these are difficult situations that have happened that have not been forgiven. That's what these are. These are unforgiven moments. A situation with somebody or a difficulty you had. But the thing that shuts down a business or shuts down productivity or shuts down inspiration are unforgiven moments, either where you didn't forgive yourself or you didn't forgive the other person. But this is a symbol of an unforgiven moment. And when our unforgiven moments stack up, because we just don't have time to forgive people, or we don't want to forgive people, these actually stack up and start to block our natural abilities. So over the years of coaching, I have lots of different things I teach people and coach people on to develop skills to improve their performance and their progress. But when none of them work, and the person's trying hard and they're putting in time and effort, and they say they've tried everything, now I know, hey, you got something going on in your past. Something happened. And they're like, no, that wouldn't affect me. I'm like, yeah, your past is inside your head. It's inside your body. It's not 20 years ago. It's not 40 years ago. It's not a long ways away. Your past is inside your head, inside your heart, inside your body. And sometimes for some people, it takes a while for it to stack up. And I don't know, some people it stacks up really fast, some people it takes a while. But when nothing else works, when you've tried everything and you've learned a lot and maybe you've hired coaches and you've taken classes and you're like, something else is wrong. And if you start thinking something's wrong with me or something's wrong with my business, I want you to stop and consider for a moment that you've got something in you that is unforgiven. And you haven't forgiven that person or you haven't forgiven yourself. That's kind of how far it goes. It's either you or them, but something happened and it is finally stacked up enough. It is literally starting to shut you down. Now, I don't know what your understanding is about forgiveness. And it seems weird, like, why is this guy talking about forgiveness? We should be talking about, the future of farming and the future of having a ranch and future of all this. But I'm here to tell you, I want you to be able to be in your genius. You're going to need inspiration and innovation moving forward. Those are the two things you're going to need a big amount of, is to be able to have inspiration and innovation to help you adapt. If we as people can't adapt, then we shut down. We don't make it. And we're going through, as a human race right now, we're going through a massive adaptation to how things have been to things are going to keep changing. And how are we going to adapt? Well, if you're not in the zone, it's going to be really difficult for you to know what to do for your particular circumstances and what you're doing and how you're going to keep moving forward. Education is huge. We got to get educated. You got to attend events like this. Got to surround yourself with smart people. They know what they're doing, but it's still going to come down to what's going on inside you. Because you could be really smart, but you could be shut down. And believe me, I've met really intelligent people who their power is turned off. It's like the car. It's like the red wire. It's like their red wire shorted out and they can't figure out what happened. And when I get a chance to talk to them and we talk through it and I show them this exact diagram and I ask them, what has not been forgiven? They just look at me and going, well, we're supposed to be talking about my business. I said, yeah, we are. You affect your business every day. You affect it. And how you are on the inside, forgiveness has to become a daily experience. It used to be where if you're a churchgoer, I don't know where you're at with what you do, but people would, forgive each other often. But these days, for some reason, forgiveness is being put in the back seat. It's not being used. And in fact, it's becoming difficult for people to actually identify what are the steps to forgiveness. Now, again, this kind of sounds like churchy, but it's not churchy. This is like humanity. We as people existing together, the way we stay connected and be inspired so we can be innovative, as we've got to forgive those people that have wronged us and forgive ourselves for the dumb things we've did and the mistakes we've made. But this is like, after 19 years of coaching and literally coaching people all over the world, it's like, this is a difficult thing for people to do, is to forgive. Because number one, they don't know what to do. And then number two, they don't think this is happening. It really, I've talked to lots of people who say, oh, that doesn't matter. I'm like, okay, well then tell me why your power is turned off. Why can't you get inspiration? Why do you not have vision? Why do you not have motivation? If your motivation died, what turned it off? And they can't answer it. They have no idea. But the lack of forgiveness is going to crush businesses. The lack of forgiveness is crushing relationships. The lack of forgiveness is dividing the family, and it's dividing the community, and it's dividing our nation. The lack of forgiveness is dividing us. So I got to ask myself the question, am I forgiving somebody somewhere about something every day? Am I using forgiveness on a daily basis? If I'm not, I am falling out of practice, because you only get good at something when you practice it. And you need to check yourself. Are you forgiving? And are you expressing that forgiveness on a daily basis? Not just once a week, not just once a month, not just when it becomes super painful or it's one of those situations. It's like this needs to be something that's practiced, because a lack of forgiveness is dividing you. It's shutting you down. It's going to get between you and your closest relationships. You will not perform at your best ability until you forgive. Now, this could be like, oh, Kirk, but I got so much to forgive about. And I'm like, okay, well, today's a good day to get started. And I'm not preaching repentance. That's not what I'm doing. I'm talking about forgiveness. Now, if you don't know how, I'm going to give you some short, simple steps that are going to help you. And you can also type in on the internet, how do I forgive somebody? And when you type in forgiveness, this is what I typed in this morning. I just typed the word forgiveness and this popped up. And it's like, oh, here's the benefits of forgiveness: improved mental health, less anxiety, less stress, less hostility, fewer symptoms of depression, lower blood pressure, a stronger immune system, improved heart health, improved self-esteem by practicing forgiveness. I mean, look at those. Those 7 bullet points would make you a better person. It would make you amazing. Like you would be in a place of making decisions, knowing what to do, how to interact with people. You would go to bed happier. Happier. You would go to bed happier. It's not money that makes you happy. It's forgiveness that makes you feel better, which then causes you to feel happy. And now you can earn more money because you can be inspired and be innovative in what you're doing. But forgiveness is not happening. It's not thought about. So I'm going to introduce to you the idea of forgiveness every day. And this is how you do it. There's some really short, simple steps here about how to do this. At the end of the day, you grab a pad of paper, a notepad, maybe even jump on your computer, write down what frustrated you that day, that particular day. So before you go to sleep at night, you're going to go to sleep after you do forgiveness. Because I want you to be better. Because if you be better, you will, that's proper grammar, right? If you can be better, you will do better. But it's got to start with you. So at the end of the day, write down what frustrates you. Number 2, then write down who frustrates you. Now pick out people. Like, okay, this person frustrates me. Write it down. You're not going to send this out to them. You're not going to take a picture of it and give it to people. You're not handing this stuff out. You're unloading your emotions and thoughts on paper. Then number 3, review what you wrote. What frustrated you and who frustrated you on a new piece of paper. So this is a second piece of paper. Write down what you learned from these experiences, from what frustrated you and who frustrated you. Because when you look at it and you ask yourself, what can I learn from this? And they're frustrating moments, but it's like, wait a second, let me see what I could learn from this. And what could I do different tomorrow? What could I do? So we're going to turn a frustrating experience into educational and a forgiveness experience. So step 5 is take that first piece of paper about what you wrote down about frustration and who you're frustrated at, and you crumple it up or tear it up. Now, if you're like me, I like to burn stuff. So I'm going to go take it out on the barbecue, Boom, I'm going to light it on fire and burn it. But I'm going to say crumple or tear it up. You choose if you want to use the fire pit or not. But you take that first paper, this one up here. At the end of the day, you write down what frustrates you and why. Then you write down who frustrates you and why. And so step 5, take that paper, crumple it up or tear it up or burn it. But do not share it with anybody. Don't give it to the person. It'll melt their brains. don't read it to somebody. It'll melt their brains. Like, just don't do that. It'll hurt people. And then number 6, out loud, you say, I forgive them for what happened. And I forgive myself for my part. Tomorrow, I will apply what I learned. Okay, get a picture of this. Super easy. Get a picture of this, get a screenshot of this. This is going to get you started with forgiveness. Super important that you start tonight. You have unforgiven moments in your past, unforgiven moments yesterday that are sitting on your heart, that are coming up your throat. It's going to block your throat. It's going to block your eyes. It's going to block your brain, and it's going to mess with you. And I can't sit here at my home and think, I'm just going to let that happen to you. You need to know that this is super, super, super important to start tonight, to clear off your system. So when you write about these things, they come out of you, they go onto the paper, and now that they're on the paper and you go to crumple it up or tear it up or burn it, now it goes away. Comes out onto paper and it goes away. Comes up, out, and away. Up, out, and away. Up, out, and away. Because you got to have some kind of process to be able to extract this, or it's going to sit inside of you and it's going to stack up and your sensibility is going to be blocked. And you're just going to be bummed out, frustrated. You're going to blame and complain about things, and that's not who you are. You are a creator. That's what God created us to be, as creators, which means we get to be inspired and we get to adapt. And through that inspiration and that adaptability, we're going to find the innovation we need to be able to move forward. That's what I love about this. You're human. You're human. I'm human. This is a thing that we need every single day. So instead of watching TV, I'm not going to take your TV away. If you watch TV, I don't know if you watch the TV, but add this to your routine for the evening. Take 15 minutes to be able to do something about forgiveness. Now, when you start doing this, what happens is your soul is going to go, oh, you're forgiving people? Oh my gosh, I have more to give you. It's like your soul is like, hey, we're cleaning up house. Let's get all this out of us. And you'll notice it's like, wait a second, I just thought of some more people to forgive or more situations to forgive. Just do 15 minutes a night. Even though you thought of like 10 things, just do 15 minutes a night so it's doable. Now you're welcome to like do it for a half an hour if you want to, because it speeds up the process. But 15 minutes of forgiveness at night is going to clear you out. It's going to get all of this off of you step by step by step so you can be inspired. That's what I want for you, is that you can receive pure inspiration of what to do next, to keep your family safe, to keep what you're doing productive, to be able to be profitable. You need inspiration. You have to have inspiration moving forward. It's going to be the big thing. It's the big deal. People who are inspired are going to know what to do. And people that are not inspired are going to be scared and they're going to crash and they're not going to know what to do. So if you're a reader, here's 3 books that I find to be super helpful when it comes to forgiveness. Great books. They've helped me a lot. I think it's super important to study this topic and to get good at it, because if you're not, your life is more miserable. And if you can learn about this and do this 15 minutes a day, you're going to be so much more happier, so much more clear. But 3 great books to be able to make that happen. Now, I'm not done yet, but I got to be done. So I got to be done. So we have next speakers coming up. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to invite you to a forgiveness coaching next week. Next week on Wednesday, October 30th, I'm going to be doing on Wednesday evening from 7 to 8:30 Mountain Standard Time. I'm going to be doing a forgiveness coaching class. And it's specifically for everybody here because I have about another hour of content to give you and then more questions to answer next week about forgiveness. Because there's other ways to do this forgiveness that might fit you better, but I want to help you understand this even more. So I'm going to invite you to be part of this. What I need you to do is email me, or not email, text me your name and email. So I'm going to give you my phone number. So get ready to write this down. Text me your name and email, and then that tells me to send you the Zoom information to be part of this forgiveness coaching class next week. And it's normally like $197 for a 90-minute coaching appointment with me, but you get it for free. We're going to do a full-on group experience so I can show you more about this and more of what I've learned how to do this so that you can feel like you really deeply understand how to do this. So you're invited to be here. Now, what I'm going to do, though, this is going to be kind of fun, is if you want to be part of this next week, I'm going to give some one-on-one coaching appointments away right now. If you are the first person to text me, you win a 1-hour one-on-one coaching call with me. And I'll send you my link. You can look at my calendar, pick out the best day and time, and let's jump on a 1-hour coaching call and I'll help you. It's totally free, totally free. And at the end of the coaching call, I'll say thank you. And we'll just be like, this is awesome. And if you're the fifth person to text me, you also win a coaching appointment. So everybody gets to be part of the group. But if you want to text me, if you want to be one of the first, the fifth, or the 10th, I'm going to give away a 1-hour coaching appointment to the person who's the first, the fifth, and the 10th. So if you would like to have some help personally about forgiveness or anything I can do to help you with what you're working on, then you want to text me right now and be the first, the fifth, or the 10th. So there's my phone number, 801-639-0317. And that comes straight to me. And so if you, oh my gosh, okay. I got to tell you who was the first. Who's 925-596-0827? Who's that? You were the first person. So, okay, it just totally took off like really, really fast, but I caught the first person. So I can see exactly who's first, who's fifth, and who's 10th. So I got to go here in like 4 minutes. But what you want to do is I'm going to also add to this. So just so you know, there's still room to make this happen. I'm going to give a coaching appointment to the first, the fifth, the 10th, and also the 20th person, and also it's 30th person. So if you haven't texted yet, there's still a chance for you to get one of these coaching appointments. Okay. I see that happening over there. So it's all kept in order. Nobody is going to get, it doesn't go out of order. And so go ahead and text that number, 801. I got 3 minutes left here, but 801-639-0317. And I will send you the link tonight for the Zoom webinar next week. And let's talk more about forgiveness. Cool. So go ahead and text me. Let me just glance really quick. Okay, the 30th one is still available. So if you text, there's still this coaching appointment. So there's 5 1-hour coaching appointments I'm giving away. And so if you're like, oh, they're already all gone. No, it's super close. So if you hurry and text, it's like within just a couple, it's within a couple here. And I see some of you actually trying to text twice. That's awesome. Okay. So what I'll do is I'll send you the email tonight. We'll jump on that call tomorrow. And then I will message all of you who won the coaching appointment, first, fifth, 20th, and the 30th. I will message you this afternoon that you got the appointment because I have some coaching appointments I got to go do right now. But that way I'll give you the link so you can schedule your appointments. So looking forward to this next week on Wednesday. I This is a big deal when it comes to who you are and how you are as a person. Take it seriously. If you don't know how to forgive and you're an adult and you don't know the steps to forgiveness, it's time to figure this out. It really is. Your past can become heavy and it can weigh on your soul. And every day you try to be strong and every day you try hard. But what happens is the past doesn't get cleared up until you forgive them. And I know there's some terrible things that can happen to us as human beings. I'm going to cover more of how to forgive next week. So I got another hour and a half. I can go more. And I'm happy to share more with you next week too. But at least start this today. It'll make you feel better on the inside. It's doable. It's real. And today you can start to move into that space of getting into your zone. Get into your zone through forgiveness. It's a massive, massive important part for your family, for your marriage, for your business, to be inspired and to have the innovation that you need. Super cool. Okay, my time's up. I got to go. Thank you for being here. And thank you, Jared, for inviting me. And I hope what I shared made sense. I hope it made
Yeah, it
sense.
absolutely did. Yes.
Okay,
Yes. What a timely message.
cool.
Let's go
Very
ahead and
cool.
type in the chat what you learned from today. Let's put it in there. Practice that. Remember the FAST principle of learning that last piece, the T. We got to teach each other. We're going to do this here in the chat. Kirk, do you have time for a quick question?
Sure.
Okay. So you've kind of alluded to, the things that might be shifting. We're seeing a lot of things from natural disasters, political unrest, wars, and some people say maybe it's the end of times. How does one remain calm when there's chaos brewing all around us?
Okay, so chaos plus unforgiven experiences in your life is like a wildfire. So chaos is going to happen. It's always happened on the planet. It is increasing, which tells me my forgiveness has to increase. Because if I can be peaceful on the inside, I can be the calm in the center of the chaos. But if I have hard feelings and if I have difficulties inside of me of unforgiven moments for myself or other people, then the chaos is going to erupt that because I am not stable on the inside. So to me, the thing I have found that has helped me and the people that I'm working with is you got to get inside and you got to clean up your insides by using forgiveness and find every person you can to forgive so that you have nothing to be disturbed or nothing to be erupted on the inside. And because you're doing that forgiveness, you're going to receive inspiration, which will help you be more prepared. And I know for me, that is the number one thing I need to do for my preparedness is to be able to be inspired. And that will happen at its best because I'm forgiving people.
Thank you. Yep. Way to bring it around.
Cool.
Really.
Thank you, Jared.
Hey, everybody give Kirk a big round of applause. Give him some love and some thank yous in the chat.
Awesome, man. Thank you. Thanks for letting me be with all you guys. Love you. Bye.
Hey, take care, Kirk.